Hey guys, Richie here again from the Starlight Project. So we're going to do another video. In today's video, we're going to discuss the different business models for the holiday lighting industry, or the holiday lighting installer industry. So you have 4 business models. Some of you guys think there's 2, where you got your either selling lights or your leasing lights, and that's not the case at all. And we're going to go from in order from the least amount of control and profitability all the way up to the most amount of control and profitability. Now, it's very important to understand that your ability to control your company is going to have a very extraordinary effect on the success of your company. So to start off, we're going to talk about your basic labor model. And this is where your customers are going to be purchasing the equipment, and then you are just going to charge labor. They get to retain 100% ownership over the lighting, and you're pretty much just going to be a laborer at that point. And I'm not even entirely sure if I would consider that something that you could even consider as a decent business model, because you don't have any assets. The only assets you have are your labor, and I'm not going to discount your labor. I'm not going to discount your labor or the value of your labor, but what I am going to say is if your customers are having exclusive ownership over the equipment, then they could just hire somebody else to do the lights. Like, they could have their grandkids do it. They could have, you know, you're lucky that they're even hiring you at that point to put the lights up. Now, your second one is you are personally going to supply the equipment for the purchase, and then charge labor on top of that. This is going to be your selling model. Your selling model essentially consists of you acquiring some type of distribution company in which you're going to network with, build relationships with, and then eventually utilize their services and products in order to supply services and products to your customers. What you'll do is you will get quote-unquote contractor pricing or wholesale pricing, which would allow you to purchase the equipment, mark it up, and make a profit off of the sale. You're then going to utilize the labor model in which you are going to supply the labor in order to put the lights up, but your customers are still going to retain the lights. You're going to make a little bit more because you make a little bit of money off the top end for the, you're going to make a little bit of money off the top end, off the markup of the products that you're selling, and then you're going to be making money off the labor. Your next option upwards, where you get a little more control, is you are going to essentially lease, and there's a big difference between leasing and renting, but you're going to lease the lights, and you're going to install them as well. So with the leasing model, you are essentially renting up to a point of X years, okay? And after X years has passed, typically during the resolution of your contract, be it, you know, if you're doing a 3-year or a 5-year contract, after that contract has expired, you are going to give your clients the opportunity to purchase the lights from you. This is a very good option if you are servicing lower ticket clients, and those low ticket clients would typically run, I guess depending on your market, if it's going to be, I don't know, $500, $600, $700, $800. And what happens with that is you're charging a little more your first year, so you can acquire the materials for that client, and then with the each consecutive year, the client's going to pay a little bit less. But at the end of the term, you are going to offer them the ability to purchase the equipment that you are renting to them. All right? And this allows you to be able to mark off the depreciated value on your taxes. You're able to utilize that equipment to leverage for any business loans, stuff like that. Now, of course, it does require a little more logistics and a little more focus on inventory control, as opposed to selling or just, you know, hanging the lights. but it does bear a lot more value. And then your final one, which I utilize this method because I honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it's the best business model for the industry. That one's going to be renting the lights. You will bear 100% ownership over the equipment 100% of the time, up to the point to where the equipment inevitably fails. You mark it off of your taxes, and then you just buy new equipment for your client. Now, typically, if you're using good commercial grade equipment, your lights should last anywhere between 5 to 8 years, 10 years if you really take care of it. But a lot of that also depends on the market that you're servicing. If you're like me and you live in the Midwest, your lights are going to be going through rain one day, snow the next, ice rain the following, 80 degrees, like it's summer in the middle of winter. And then, ultimately, this is going to boil down to your capabilities. Are you going to be capable of the overhead when it comes to storing the equipment with the leasing and the renting model? As you slowly begin to build your client base, you're going to require more space. This is going to have to be supplemented somehow or another, be it if you're a small guy like me and you want to utilize a garage to store all your Christmas lights. There'll come a point in time in which you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to rent a U-Haul? Am I going to rent any kind of storage locker, any storage units? Now, this is going to be just prior to you expanding to the point to where you are required to purchase a warehouse. From my understanding, the business is going to get much, much more complicated if you decide that you want to restrict your growth. And like all business, if you're providing a relatively decent service, growth is going to be the natural byproduct. Now, what I will say, if you're going to start off with the leasing and the rental models, is that you want to make sure that you have a very good holiday light supplier. I use Holiday Bright Lights, and I source that equipment through the local Ace Hardware. And the reason that I do that is I know Ace Hardware is going to have an inventory when I have a job request come through. If I were to purchase, with the size of my company, if I were to purchase the equipment, it's going to cost the same as it would if I were to still, purchase the equipment from the Ace Hardware. So right now, at this current point in time, everybody's benefiting. I'm still paying below retail price. The local Ace Hardware is receiving profits, so I'm supporting that local business. They're supporting me by offering the opportunity for me to have access to inventory, as well as 2-day shipping, maybe 3 days at most. So I don't have to worry about, waiting 6 days, 8 days to receive something from China. I don't have to worry about terrible customer service through Amazon. I don't have to worry about the shitty quality of equipment that I'm going to be acquiring. Because you know damn well, depending on the company, and the big thing about Holiday Bright Lights is that they order everything in massive amounts of batches. So you are guaranteed the same tone and color for your lights. You're guaranteed relatively decent or beyond acceptable quality of socket stringers. The light clips, I'm a little iffy on. I do like Halo clips. I'm not a huge fan of Mighty clips or Tough clips, but I do like the Halo clips. But when you go through large distribution companies and holiday lighting suppliers, you have access to a huge catalog of goods. I'm sitting on a catalog right now that's this thick. I don't have to carry the inventory, and I can still sell the products. This year, we are going to be carrying wreaths because it's a super quick job. You're gonna just stick the wreath on the door and then you're gonna leave. And they're all battery operated, and they're equipped with really, really nice photocells, which are going to allow the batteries to be preserved throughout the entire season. And you are not going to have to replace those batteries so long as the equipment's taken care of throughout the duration of the contract. Now, with that being said, what do you do with all that failed equipment? Well, for starts, most people are going to just toss it. Some people are just going to throw it in the dumpster, call it a day, and purchase a new wreath. They're going to purchase new lights, new bulbs. But then there's also a secondary market, and this is something that you could learn to take advantage of. This is going to be reworking the failed equipment. So with this being said, in the event that there is, let us say, a squirrel bites through wires on a string that's mounted on a second story roof, you are going to end up having a string that is failed in the center, and then you will be able to take that, you'll be able to cut it right where the bite is, and then you can repurpose that same stringer for windows. You're able to repurpose that same stringer for something that is not used with that that length of a run. So if you have 23 feet and then you got the bite that happens about 8 feet in, you have 8 feet which you could wrap around a single window, and then you have the remainder which you could technically use if you wanted to along like a dormer or there's so many different applications with Christmas lights. But with me going into depth, I'm hoping you guys are able to tell that you have a lot more control and you have a lot more opportunity when pursuing the rental method. Now, with that being said, it does cost more on the customer's end, but the service and the support that you receive and give is far greater than if you were to just have your customers go to Menards, buy a box of lights, and you sell them, or you sell them the labor. You make more. The income that you're generating is more than enough to be able to support your operation if you run with the rental models. And overall, I've not seen any other models, but overall, the rental is by far the greatest as far as whether or not you're serious about running a company, or if you're just doing it for a side hustle, you're better off just selling the labor and not ripping off your clients. But that's all I got for you guys today. We're going to have some updates on some really cool projects that we're going to be working on. So if you guys hit the like button, subscribe, this will essentially show me that there are people out there that are interested in the content that I'm wanting to provide. I try to think about certain topics outside the box, and I like to be non-conventional when it comes to utilizing equipment, when it comes to processes, policies, all that. We're going to do a deep dive into the Christmas light industry, ranging anywhere between your financial management to your marketing to guerrilla marketing, exotic marketing. Pretty sure you guys have never heard exotic marketing before, but we're going to be doing that. We're going to go into the policies and processes within the service. We're going to not veer off and talk about pressure washing. We're not going to be talking about landscaping or anything like that. We're going to stick primarily to lighting, and with it being the holiday season, we're going to stick to primarily Christmas lights. Now, if I end up picking up some event lighting jobs or wedding jobs, I might take some videos. But I'm going to save them for later because I kind of want to keep all the holiday related content together. So